All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here this evening. Um, so we are uh, the class today. It's an all-around class, but I have parts of it themed around calming the nervous system, which can be helpful for any reason, any personal reason, but for sport reasons, sometimes it's good to calm the nervous system if you're too anxious or too overexcited. You need to calm down to be able to focus. So some of the things we're going to do are sort of sequences that are sort of ritualistic that can be helpful for calming the nervous system. Some of them will be breathing exercises for calming the nervous system and getting you out of the fight or flight part of your nervous system. And some of them will be positions of relaxation to help with that as well. And I realized I forgot one prop, but I'll grab it in a moment. We are going to be starting with our legs up on a chair or legs up on the couch. Elevation, I'll grab that chair in a moment. If you have two yoga blocks, I would grab them, but you can get by without it. The strap is only for the quad stretch. So if you struggle to reach back and find the foot, grabbing the strap. And I will mostly be using the blanket to pad my knees and to pad my hips when I'm in belly down position. So we're going to start on our backs with the legs up on the chair, just realizing I forgot to bring the chair over. And if you're in the living room or in a room with a couch or a chair, you can just scoot yourself over to it. So it doesn't have to be on your yoga mat. So you don't have to go get a piece of furniture to be in this position. So we'll be here on our backs, legs elevated, on the chair, the couch, the ottoman, whatever you have available. Sometimes it's a low coffee table or a chest that would work as well. And we'll be here for a couple of minutes, so it's worth adjusting, lifting the hips, maybe even putting something under the back of the head if it's hard for you to lie with your back of your head flat on the floor. And I'm going to offer placing one hand on the belly and the other hand on the chest, but let the elbows rest on the floor. And we're here in some stillness, so you don't need to see me for this part. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, but keeping them open is an option as well. Take the first few moments here to bring your attention to your breath. With this breath, feeling the belly and chest moving underneath your hands. Maybe you can feel that expansion and contraction as you breathe in and out. Letting the legs be heavy, the props supporting you, the earth supporting your spine, your head. And as you're ready, start to lengthen the breath, slow it down. So not big, deep breaths. Just lengthen out, slow down, both inhale the exhale. So a couple of things here already calming to the nervous system, just slowing the breath down, signals to the nervous system that, hey, not being chased by a bear, and it's not the end of the world if you don't do great in this race. So if you're feeling anxious, worried, stressed, just slowing down the breath in general is getting you out of the fight or flight and more into the rest, digest, heal part of your nervous system. The leg position here puts our hip flexors into a slackened position. So they're not engaged. There's no strain or tension put on these muscles on the fronts of the hip joints. When those muscles relax, it also signals to the nervous system that You can come out of that fight or flight and more into the rest, digest, heal portion of the nervous system. Take the next few breaths, setting an intention for the practice. And if you've come to class with an intention, go ahead and set this thought in your mind. But if you haven't, I'm going to offer this simple one. Stay with the breath. Stay with the breath. If you can stay with this lengthened breath, you're keeping that nervous system on an even keel. If you stay with the breath, you stay in the present moment. Take the next few breaths, set an intention for your practice, this thought, staying with the moment or your own. We'll bring the hands away from the belly and the chest. You can move away from the chair. I'm just moving mine out of the way here, but you can scooch away from the couch or ottoman or whatever you had your legs on here. Coming onto our backs again, pull the knees in towards you, holding shins or maybe backs of thighs if the knees are not feeling great or that pressure doesn't feel good. Just gently rock a little bit side to side. And then bring your knees out wide. Keep the knees bent, but soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. So the knees are angling towards your armpits. They're not going to reach there, but in that direction. Could keep holding the backs of the legs or hold the ankles or soles of feet. And just gently rock here in that happy baby position. A little massage there to the lower back. And then taking your time, we're going to come on up to hands and knees. Maybe you roll over and press yourself up there. I'm going to use my blanket to pad my knees, but you may not need it, just depending on the surface that you're on. Starting knees under hips, wrist under shoulders. Remember your options here for the hands. So a lot of times that 90-degree angle with the palm flat doesn't feel great to the wrist, or maybe it's the base of the thumb. You could be on loose fist, or you could be on your forearms, elbows under shoulders. Could be the forearms are on blocks here. Cat and cow movements of the spine. We exhale round through the back, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone under. Inhaling, lift the tailbone, belly down, chest forward. And then back and forth between those two, exhaling to round, full length of the exhale to move you from that cow to the cat, full length of the inhale to move you from the cat to the cow, meaning lengthened breath and we're not rushing through. And if you've got some issues with the back or the spine, or you're feeling stiff, remember we're warming up and there's no reason to push into painful postures. So you may be modifying or adapting some of these movements to make it work better for you. Next, inhale, bring it into this neutral position. And then we're going to find our way into child's or puppy pose. Child's pose, hips over heels, forehead resting down. Or a puppy might work better for you. So especially if you have osteoporosis of the spine or herniated disc, or maybe it's hip or knee issues, you're here, hips over knees, forehead, forearms down. So there's less compression in the puppy, which might work better for you. Take a few breaths here, forehead resting on the ground or stacked hands underneath that forehead. So this is a resting position. You could come to this at any time during the practice. If your body needs that rest or you need to come back to the breath and you've lost it, you need to kind of reset in some stillness. And now we're going to do a sequence of movements where we start and end in this position. So this is one of the things that's sort of a sequence, a sort of matching breath and movement. Sometimes having a ritual, a physical ritual, is helpful for calming the nervous system. This is called a Tibetan sun salutation. And we're going to do three. You might watch on the first one, join on the second one. Start from that puppy or child's pose, and we're going to stand up on the knees. So inhaling to rise up on the knees, open the chest. You're sweeping the arms back. On the exhale, round the back, bring the hands to the floor. So we're coming into that cat pose, that rounded back. Inhale, coming down into the cow, belly down, chest forward. And then exhale, bring it back to that child's or puppy pose. So I'm going to do that a couple more times, that sequence. So we inhale, rise up on the knees, open the chest, sweeping the arms back. Exhale, round the back, hands to the floor, that cat pose. Inhale, arch the spine downward, chest forward, cow. Exhale, sit back, child's or puppy. One more time. Inhale, standing on the knees, opening the chest. Exhale, round the back, hands to the floor. Inhale, arching the back downward, cow. Exhale, bring it back into that child's or puppy. Take a few breaths here. A good one for warming up the spine, that one we just did, but also that connected breath and movement, that sequence that you could repeat any number of times. Sometimes that sort of sequence, connecting breath and movement, keeping that focus on the breath, helpful for calming the nervous system. So you could stay in that resting position for longer, or coming up here to hands and knees. I'm going to bring my knees out a little wider than my hips. And I'm bringing my hands out a little wider than the shoulders. So my hands are just off of my yoga mat. And this is a spinal twist meant for the upper back. So we're bringing our elbows out to the side, almost like you're making a push-up motion. But when you get part way down, you're going to twist. You lower one shoulder and look away from it. And then press back up through center, and then the other side. So elbows out, lower that other shoulder and look away from it. And then press yourself up to center. So inhale, elbows out, and you're twisting through the upper back, through the head and neck. Exhale, rise up. And we'll go side to side here a few more times. And if you've got some tension, tightness in the chest, front of the shoulder, you may not be lowering as far or twisting as much. So there's no reason to force to a painful spot here, especially for the shoulders. And we'll do one more here. So a lot of us hold tension and tightness in that mid and upper back. So just working out some of that kinks there. Walking the hands back in under shoulders and knees under the hips. We're going to work a little bit here on the core and some of the shoulder stabilizing muscles. I'm going to use a yoga block, but you can certainly get by without one. So I'm coming down on my right forearm on that block, or it could be flat on the floor. So elbows underneath the shoulder. We're working the core. So I want you to go ahead and firm the belly. So make a solid wall of the abdominal muscles here. And we're stretching our right leg back. The toes point down. Try to keep the hips level as opposed to the left hip sinking out or the right leg rotating out. And then you could stay here or reach your left arm back. So the left arm's reaching back same direction as the right foot. Push the floor away with that right arm. That pushing the floor away starts to work into these muscles on the underside of the shoulder blade, wrapping around the side of the ribs that are stabilizing muscles for the shoulder, but also give you more reach, more forward reach in the catch position when they're strong. All right, we'll lower the hand, lower the knee, maybe a few cat-cows or wag of the tail or shake out the arm. And then, of course, the other side. So now we'll bring that left forearm down on the block or floor, elbow under shoulder. Firm the belly, solid wall of your abs. Left leg back, toes point down. Right arm could go back, reaching in the same direction as the foot, neck long, push the floor away. So you actually rise up, that shoulder blade wraps around the side ribs. This muscle we're strengthening here is called the serratus anterior. And that's the one that helps you reach forward more. Reach forward with strength in that position. We'll lower the knee and lower the hand. And you could stay here on your hands or come on your forearms if you're ready to take the pressure off the wrist. We're going to stretch one leg over to the opposite side and tuck the toes under so that we're not on the top of the foot. Toes are tucked under. And then peek around the shoulder to see that foot. And if the neck doesn't like this position, then you're going to look towards that hand. And then toe rock. So we inhale, shift forward, bend through the toe joints. Exhale, press the heel back. A few more here. So kind of a lot going on in this simple position, opening up through the side body and warming up the toes, the ankle, the calf muscles here. And we're going to bring that knee back down, and then we're switching sides. So other foot crosses over, toes tucked, peek around that shoulder to see the foot or look towards the hand. And here's that toe rock. Inhale, toes bend, shifting forward. Exhale, press the heel back. Lowering this knee back down. So I'm setting up for down dog. This can be a challenging pose. You might choose to do it for a little bit, lower the knees, take a break, or puppy with the arms reaching forward is basically a kneeling down dog. So that might be another alternative to down dog here. Hands forward of shoulders, fingers spread out, tuck the toes, hips up. And if this is your first down dog of the day, it might be kind of a shock to the backs of the legs. So you might need to bend the knees and push those sitting bones up and back for the length of the spine. And take a moment here, perhaps you pedal the feet, or you shake the head, or you swivel the heels side to side, lifting a leg, or inhale to plank, exhale back into down dog. Take another breath here. And on your exhale, settle into some stillness in that down dog. Looking forward, we're stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand. And if it doesn't get there, you could lower that right knee, left hand helping that foot come forward. So we've got both hands on the inside of that front foot. Now you might be okay on your fingertips here, but I find this is a really lovely place to have the blocks under my hands because it allows me to open my hips a little bit more. So I have that back knee down. And I'm gonna let my hips sink down and forward. At the same time, I'm pressing into the hands to reach the top of my head up. So I'm finding this real length in my spine. And I'm feeling a little stretch on my right hip flexor. So top front of that thigh. If you're really tight in the hamstrings, you might feel that on the left thigh, left back of the thigh. Keep that neck long and just do a little head turn left and right. So instead, if you're sunk down in your shoulders, you're not going to have a whole lot of movement. If you create space between the vertebrae and the neck, a little more ease of movement here. You could stay with the back knee down or lift it up. Different hip flexor stretch. We'll bring that head back into center. And I'm going to bring both hands down to the floor, stepping us back into a plank. Lower both knees, that core stays tight, and exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. A low cobra, we pull the shoulder blades towards the spine and the back waist to lift the head and chest. Low cobra right here, and this may be the best for your back or your neck or wrist or whatever. Or you can press higher, a bigger back bend, but there's no reason to force it to that bigger pose. Tuck the toes. We're making our way to down dog. One option is to go through hands and knees and then lift the knees for the down dog or directly there. Take a few more breaths, a shake of the head, a wag of the tail, heel lift and lower. Looking forward, right foot coming to the outside of that right hand. You might need to help it there. Lowering that back foot. So both hands and shoulders on the inside of the front foot, maybe up on tented fingers or hands on the blocks. Allow the hips to sink down and forward and reach the top of the head up. That lengthened spine. Taking that gentle head turn left and right. Staying with that back knee down, or tuck the toes, lifting the back knee. That's a little bit more hip flexor stretch. And if it then makes you kind of hunch over, keep that back knee down, just so you find more space in the spine. All right, we're gonna bring it back into center. Toe heel that right foot back onto the mat so that it's in line with that right hip. We're stepping the back foot to the front foot, finding a forward fold that works for your body. One is this ragdoll. Knees are bent, upper body is draped over lower body. And this works for a lot of us, but if there's stuff going on in your spine or your hamstrings, one that's a little bit more conservative but protective of the spine and the hamstrings is feet wide, butt back, forearms on the thighs. So this one, there's no compression going through the vertebrae, through the disc, and it's a little less intense on those hamstrings, backs of the thighs. Either pose, a little sway, a little shake or release of the head and the neck. Ragdoll, you've got a few more options. Maybe it's holding elbows or backs of hands resting on the floor or resting on the yoga blocks. I've heard this one called like gorilla arms. And bring your weight shift back into center here. Bend the knees, look forward, and then strong legs are rising up to stand. You could reach up and then exhale, hands to prayer at your heart. We're going to let the arms go, shake them out there a little bit. I didn't say it while we're in it, but that ragdoll forward fold, there's compression going down through the belly, which can stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is, when it's stimulated, it stimulates or it makes the rest, digest, heal part of your nervous system ramp up while the fight or flight ramps down. So that's another pose that you don't need a yoga mat to do. I wouldn't do it in the middle of the grocery store, but maybe once you get off the boat or before getting in the boat or other times during the day. So I'm getting ready to move through some sun salutations. We haven't done these in a while, and on purpose, I'm going to slow these down so they're not super fast. I'm going to give you some options. And I'm going to use my blocks here at the front of my mat when I'm in the lunge position, because we're going to pause in the lunge and create some length, and sometimes the blocks can be helpful for that. If you don't have them, you'll be on your fingertips. So we're starting at the front of the mat. Inhaling, getting taller, sweep the arms up. You might even look up between the hands. On your exhale, fold forward your version of this. So it could be that ragdoll, knees bent, hands down, or forearms on the thighs here, spine long. On your inhale, press your arms into the legs and reach the top of the head forward. So this half lift, this lengthening, space creating spinal position. And then exhale, bring your hands to the blocks or fingertips to the floor. Step your right foot back. So on the inhale, we're going to lower the hips, but keep the knee up. On the exhale, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, pull the chest forward, bring the gaze forward. And then on the exhale, I'm stepping back into a down dog. So I plant the hands as blocks out of the way. Long spine. Maybe you bend to the knees to get that long spine. Now you could stay here and skip the flow through part, or you could even lower your knees and skip this next part. The flow through is inhale to plank. And now we've done this before, so you could lower the knees or keep them up, but the core maintains plank as you lower down to the ground on the exhale. And our cobra, it's that low or medium or high, but shoulder blades pull towards the spine and the back waist to lift the head and chest, neck long, maybe pressing higher or making our way to down dog, maybe 3 hands and knees or tuck the toes, low abs, pushing the hips up and back. Take a breath in that down dog, long spine, maybe that little bend to the knees. A three-legged dog coming next. So we inhale the right leg up. Exhale, step this foot between the hands. Now, if it only gets there part way, right hand helping it forward. You could be up on the fingertips or those blocks again. So we inhale, lower the hips, but keep the knee up. Exhale, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, chest forward, gaze a little forward. And then on the exhale, back foot to the front foot. Bend the knees, strong legs. Inhale, rise up to stand, reaching up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Let that go. Shake it out here, roll the shoulders. So that was the sun salutation. We stepped back and forward with the right foot. We'll do it with the left foot again. So this is sort of the ritual part. There's a sequence, we move with the breath. And so sometimes these sun salutations, they can be invigorating, but they can also be calming to the nervous system in that there's a sequence and we follow this pattern and we move with the breath. So here we go again with the left leg this time. Inhale, get taller, reach up, maybe look up. Exhale, find your forward fold, hands to the floor or forearms on the thighs. Inhale, press your arms into the legs and reach the top of the head forward, creating space between the vertebrae. Exhale, the hands to the blocks or to the mat, left foot back. Inhale, lower the hips. Exhale, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, pull the chest forward. Exhale, we're stepping up back to a down dog. You could stay here and we'll meet you back in down dog in a moment, or lower those knees, skipping this next part, or flowing through is inhale to plank, knees down or up, exhale, lower to the ground. Point your feet here, so you untuck those toes. Shoulders back and down, find your cobra, keep it lower, press it high. Neck is long though. Tuck your toes, low belly, hips up and back. Low belly engages, hips up and back. Down dog, take a breath. We'll inhale the left leg up, three-legged down dog. Exhale this foot between the hands. Remember, you might need to help it get all the way there with that left hand. Up on fingertips or hands on the blocks. Inhale, lower hips. Exhale, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, chest forward, gaze forward. Exhale, back foot to the front foot. Bend the knees, strong legs. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Exhale, hands to prayer. Let that go. Shake it out. Roll the shoulders. So the beauty about the recording of this is you can just follow that part, the sun salutation. If you want to start building that into your home practice, you can go back and just follow this part of the recording and work on that sun salutation. So we're going to do a few more standing poses here. We're turning to face one long edge of the mat. Doesn't matter which. Coming into this goddess pose, we'll have our feet out wider than the hips and the toes are turned out. Before we come into the squat here, I want you to lift all 10 toes and spread them out. Place them down, spread out. Okay. And then feel the contact underneath the pads of the toes. So like the part, where your fingerprints are, but your toe prints. Under the big toe knuckle, under the little toe knuckle, the underside, that ball of the foot, and right in the center of the heel, all of those making contact with the earth, pressing into those areas, and you may feel your arches lift up a little bit. Keeping that, we're really rooting into the earth, so we're feeling the earth, we're being grounded into the earth here. We're going to bend through the knees and the hips. You don't have to go deep here. So, I know a lot of you have strong quads. You don't have to show off if they're tired or your knees are bothering you. Stay up a little bit higher, but focus on toes spread out and your pads of those toes, the heels, the balls of the feet are pressing into the floor, and feel the arch lift. And then without straightening knees, find that length in the spine. The tailbone reaches down and the top of the head reaches up here. Shoulders are relaxed. I'm going to add a little movement to this. Reach both arms forward, straighten the legs, and pull the elbows back. A little shoulder blade squeeze. And then we bend the knees, sit back. reaching forward again. Straighten the legs. Exhale. Pull the elbows back. A little shoulder blade squeeze. Inhale, sit back, reach forward. We're going to do a few more. And, you know, we are moving, focusing on the breath. Feel the earth under your feet, under your heels, under the balls of the feet, under the pads of the toes. Feeling grounded, connected to the earth. It's also calming to the nervous system. Here, this is very powerful movement, right? So some of the power is us drawing it up through the earth. Feeling stable and strong. And here at the top, long through the spine. One more. So calm, but also strong and powerful. All right, we're going to release the arms, bring the feet in, walk it together, shake out those legs, roll the shoulders. So we're working on balance on the next one. This is actually a combo balance and core, which I kind of like doing two things at once if I don't sacrifice one for the other. So I'm going to use the yoga block. If you don't have it, you can pretend you have one here. Just keep in mind the squishier your surface, the more challenging it is to balance. So you might choose to step off the yoga mat or off the rug that you're on. You might like to be near a wall. So it could be that you have a hand at the wall or just close enough that you could reach your hand out or lean against it if you needed to. I'm going to turn to face you just so you can see what's happening here. So we're bringing one foot forward, lift and spread those toes, place them down, spread out. So again, we're making that contact with the earth, all five toes, the balls of the feet, ball of that foot and the heel of the foot. And then shift all of your weight or most of your weight onto that foot there. The other foot is back behind you and out, and I just have my toes down. If you have shoulder issues, you might just do the leg part of this. Block in the hands or pretend block. You're going to reach it up and over the shoulder that you're weight bearing on. So I'm kind of making this diagonal, the arms and the leg reaching out here. Focus the gaze on a non-moving spot. Visual feedback, helpful for balance. That lengthened spine, tailbone down, top of the head up. You could stay here because we're on like 1.5 feet instead of 2. Or play with lifting that back leg up, knowing you can always put that foot down. You could stay here or add some movement. Now you're going to try to keep that gaze focused ahead as you pull that lifted knee forward and the block down. Now belly button towards spine, but my gaze stays forward. And then I inhale, reach it out long, leg and arms in opposite direction. So we exhale, pull it in, belly button towards spine. Inhale, reach it long. I'm going to do 2 more. Imagine there's something resisting you, pulling your arms down and pulling the knee in. So you get a little bit more work in the abs, the hip flexors, and your lats a little bit. Woo! And then inhale, reach it out, and then let it go. Shake it out just in time for me. So that standing leg was working hard. The visual feedback is a big thing here. So even as that block or the arms come across, try to keep that visual feedback there. And you'll note that in the boat too, having your eyes on the horizon or some spot that you can help stay focused is helpful to keep the boat from laterally rocking. The other foot forward, spread those toes, shift your weight onto it. That other foot is out and back, toes down, arms up over, so you make this diagonal. Focus gaze, lengthen spine. Stay here or lift the back foot. You could stay with this without adding the movement. Now you can put that foot down, or if it feels like you are able, exhale, pull the knee in, hands down, belly button towards spine. Inhale, reach it out long. I'm going to do 3 more, kind of slow motion, matching that breath. Visual feedback here, giving you reference point, right? Reference to what is upright. So if you start to veer away from it, that feedback to the brain to tell you to correct. All right, lower that foot, lower the arms, shake out the legs, roll the shoulders. I'm going to put that block down here. Then coming down on to the floor, coming to hands and knees here. And I'm going to do some variations on plank. And the first one will be a knee down plank. So if you might like that extra padding, And for this, you could be on your hands or you could be on your forearms, either one. So we're making a straight line from the knees to the crown of the head. And sometimes hard to feel if there's a straight line, but just notice if you're feeling any crunch in the low back, you're going to pull that low belly in a little bit. And then push the floor away, like we did in that bird dog. We push with both arms. You'll feel your shoulder blades wrap around the side ribs and lengthen the neck. Maybe a slight chin tuck here. Breathe. Keep pulling that low belly in. Maybe even think about pulling your front hip bones towards each other. They don't actually move, but that's going to engage this stabilizing abdominal muscle. And then taking a little break, we're going to bring our hips back over the knees. You could cat-cow it, or maybe come into a child's or a puppy pose. Take a few breaths here. Coming back to that intention for the practice. Remember, maybe it's one that you set, or that's staying with the breath, staying focused and present in this moment. So you could stay here longer, resting more, or you could do a second plank. It could be that same knee down variation or the knee up one. So you're on hands or you're on forearms. Your elbows are under your shoulders. Either knees down or knees up. Now, it's this kind of straight line. It's in the hips. So if you start to push your hips up, you're kind of coming into down dog. Try to line the hips up with the shoulders. Pull those front hip bones towards each other. You might even feel like your feet kind of pulling together. Neck is long. You could stay here, especially if you have the knees down, you're going to stay here. If you have knees up, you have an option here. I'm going to tap one foot out to the side and then bring it back into center. Inhale, the other foot taps out to the side. Exhale, bring it into center, push the floor away. And then we're just alternating here side to side and trying to minimize the wobble of the hips. Breathe. All right, feet in, lower down. Find child's or puppy pose, or maybe you sit back on your heels or stand up on the knees. Take a couple of backward shoulder rolls from here. And I'm going to make my way onto my belly. I'm doing a couple of poses before I come into locust or this belly down back bend. You might like some extra padding under the pubic bones and those front hip bones, but probably not as big of a lift as you had under your knees if you were using that. So we're coming into this movement here. I heard this one called scorpion before. So you think of like a scorpion's tail that comes up and then it can sting from there. Our leg will be sort of the tail. You might watch me on the first one or two and then join in. So I'm belly down, hands under my shoulders, the elbows are pointing back. I'm going to bend one knee, lift that thigh just a little bit off the floor, and then I'm rolling away from that leg and bringing that foot behind me, and I'm turning my head in the opposite direction that the leg is reaching, and then rolling onto the belly again. So bend the other knee, lift the thigh, it reaches over, and I turn my head away from the leg and come onto the belly. So I'm going to go side to side, bend the knee, lift the leg, reach it over, look away, exhale onto the belly. Inhale, lift, reach the leg, exhale onto the belly. And then side to side here, just a few more times. And maybe the foot just reaches behind you. Maybe you have enough range of motion to bring the foot to the floor. It's not necessarily the goal. It's just to get this twist and this open in the front of the hips. A little stretch through the front of the shoulders. And next time you come on your belly, pause and let's stay there. So we're going to come into a quad stretch from here. You might need your strap if it's hard to get the foot. Bring one forearm in front of you here and let the forehead rest on it, or turn your cheek to the side if that's better. Bend the knee and reach back with that same side hand, so that free hand is reaching back for the same side leg. And if you can't get the foot or the ankle, this might be where you would maybe lasso the strap around the ankle and pull it in towards you here. Think about lengthening the kneecap towards the foot of the mat. It's a subtle adjustment here in the quad stretch, but it's going to get into some of the hip flexors as well as the quads. Lengthening that breath out a little bit more. And we're going to let that go. Switch to the other side. Rest the head, cheek on the floor, or forehead on the forearm. Bend the knee, reach back. Lengthen that knee towards the foot of the mat. Very subtle adjustment. Take a few more breaths. Let that foot come down. Rest the head here for just a moment. Take a few breaths here. Slow that breath down again. Feel the belly, the lower ribs pressing into the floor as you breathe in. Feel the whole torso sinking towards the floor as you breathe out. Taking a few breaths here where you very gently press the belly and the lower ribs into the floor as you breathe in. Just melt as you breathe out. That pressing of the belly, lower ribs is the diaphragm. It's primary breathing muscle moving in the upper abdomen. Diaphragmatic breathing slows the breath down, also calming to the nervous system. So maybe you need more of this. You could stay right here. I'm going to offer a locust pose. So we're bringing our arms down by the sides, palms facing up. This is strengthening the whole back of the body here. But to protect the lumbar spine, lengthen the tailbone towards the foot of the mat. Press your pubic bone into the floor. You're going to feel low belly muscles engaging there. Keep that the whole time. Inhale, lift the head and chest, neck long. So this is like low cobra. But then we reach our hands towards the feet, neck long. Maybe you add raising the legs here, but keep the tailbone lengthening away from the head. And then exhale, lower down. We'll do some reps of this. So we inhale, lift, head, chest, hands reach, neck long, legs lift. Exhale, lower. Two more. Inhale, lift. So it's not a big lift, right? But it's a lot of tension, a lot of tightness, a lot of strength on the front of the body that's resisting us lifting away from the floor. Exhale, lower down. Arms could come forward to rest the head. Just a little wiggle here to the hips to relax through the lower back, buttocks. I'm going to do that again. Different arm position. This time the arms are coming out into a T, palms facing down. Tailbone lengthening towards the feet. Inhale, lift the head, chest, the arms, a little shoulder blade squeeze. Maybe you add the legs. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift, neck long. Exhale, lower. Two more. Strengthening all these muscles here. Keep the spine long. Exhale, lower, resting. Bend the knees, rock the legs, core, but these spinal muscles as well, keeping that spine long so you're not cat and cowing the spine as you're moving through the dry phase of the stroke. You want that really kind of solid spine in that so you don't risk back injury or other injury. Knee, hip, shoulder, neck, all of it related to and keeping that spine stable. Lowering the feet down here, making your way onto your backs. If you have those yoga blocks, grab them. But this could also be pillows or folded, rolled up towels or blankets. We're coming into this butterfly position with the legs, the soles of the feet together, knees are going to come out to the sides. You may be okay here without any props. This feels like a little bit of a strain, a little inner thigh stretch, and that's not really what I'm looking for here. So I'm going to place the blocks under my outer knee so I can rest into this position. And if this feels uncomfortable to you, you could do the opposite with the legs. So sometimes something feels a little bit more stable in the back is a knock knee position. So that's knees in supporting each other and feet out wider than the hips. But this is a resting or recovery position here. So we're going to be here for a couple of minutes. And doing another breathing exercise. So we did that sort of diaphragmatic, breathing the belly down, breathing here. Now we're going to extend the exhale, but first let's just come back to that lengthened breath. And you might do that same belly, hand on the belly, hand on the chest, breathing through the nose. And just slow down again, lengthen out the inhale and the exhale like we did at the very beginning of practice. Noticing here the inhale and the exhale relatively even. In a moment, we're going to start to lengthen the exhale. So you make your exhale longer in time and how many seconds, but it's the same amount of air going out. So we just slow that release of the air on the exhale. So regular lengthened inhale, slow the exhale down. Takes a little longer than the inhale. And then when you feel like you need to, breathing in, lengthen the exhale to the point where it's not uncomfortable that you like frantically have to breathe in, but you're sort of like, okay, I should breathe in now. If you went a little longer on the exhale and feel uncomfortable, stopping before that. Take a few more of these lengthened exhales. Slowing down the exhale. Another tool for calming the nervous system. Turns down the volume on the fight or flight and turns up the volume on the rest, digest, heal part of your nervous system. So good for recovery position, good if you're healing from an injury, good for calming you down if you're anxious or worried, have trouble sleeping. You don't have to do it from this position. You can do this breath in any position. Sometimes I do it at a red light. I wake up in the night, can't get back to sleep, worried or anxious. Your next inhale, just return to that regular breath. Use your hands to pull the knees up through center, to heel the feet back out to hip distance. Cross one ankle over the other knee, pause. You may just stay here with that foot down, or pull the legs in towards you. Reach between that window to hold the back of the thigh. Or if you're really flexible in the hips, you might be holding the shin. It's a little much for me, so I'm just holding the back of the thigh. Could be using a strap to hold here. Relax the neck, the shoulders, face muscles. Opening up that buttocks, outer hip area. Sensation of stretch or openness as opposed to pain. When you're ready, switch legs. Mind the neck, shoulders, face muscles to relax again. We're going to let this go. Bring both feet down, knees bent. I'm going to place a block to the right of my knees here, or it could be that rolled up blanket or a pillow. Arms out, the spinal twist, so drop both knees over to the right. So the outer right knee leg is going to rest on the block. And this might feel like enough stretch or twist for you, or take that left leg and cross it over here. So giving you a little bit more outer hip stretch, sideways, low back. Gaze up towards the ceiling or head turned away. Each exhale is an opportunity to relax a little bit more. So releasing a little more tension in the muscles on each exhale. Tangle the legs and pull the knees up through center. And you may have hips may have shifted out of center, bring them back in. And it could feel good to pull the knees in, just rock gently before we do the other side. When you're ready, it'll be knees bent, feet down, block over to the left of the legs, drop the legs there, arms out. You could stay or cross that right thigh over the left. Head gently turned away from the legs. Each exhale, relaxing a little bit more, letting the earth, the prop support you here. Untangling the legs, pull the knees up through center. And you could hug those knees in again or come into a happy baby. Or if there's any other movement or pose or stretch that would feel good to you here, please feel free to add it in. And think about how you'd like to set yourself up for Shavasana. So it could be legs up on the chair again, that relaxation pose that's calming to the nervous system because we're relaxing the hip flexors. You may have your favorite position. You may need some other accommodation for other things going on in your body. Decide where you'd like to be. Where can you be comfortable and your body rest the most? When you're in that position of rest, just make that sigh, just so we can kind of let go a little bit more. Take an inhale through the nose. Sigh out the exhale. You can do that again. Let the breath go. Allow the body to rest. Whatever parts of your body that are making contact with the earth or the prop, back of the head on the floor, shoulder blades, hips, calves, heels. Paying attention to that connection, that physical connection to the earth. Releasing the breath, letting your body rest. As you're ready, start to deepen the breath. Add some gentle movements here, turning the head, wiggling the fingers, the toes, moving the wrists, the ankles, maybe bigger movements closer to the larger joints. If you're on your back and would feel good, you could reach your arms overhead and lengthen through the body. Exhale, release that stretch from the back, bend the knees and roll to your side. Pausing here for a moment, gathering yourself, take a couple deep breaths, appreciating your breath, your body, your health, your yoga practice. Being gentle, press up to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice, your energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, things you'd like to work on in the future.
Thank you, Tricia and Ellen.